What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy. We want to wish you and yours a very happy new year. Thank you so much for making Blogging the Boys a part of your life in 2021 and certainly in 2022 and beyond. Thank you for being a part of our lives. This is so much fun to get to talk about the Dallas Cowboys all the time here with you on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. If you haven't yet, please do consider subscribing. We got a long way to go before this particular season is over, and so just hope the upcoming year is a wonderful one for you and your family. But it's going to be a tense one, obviously, at the beginning months for the Cowboys, as we're all hoping to see them win Super Bowl number 6. And this is an interesting time. We are at week 17, which is obviously not the regular season finale as it has been for most of our lives. I know, obviously, some of our fans date back a little bit before that, but Cowboys have 2 games left, just like everybody else in the NFL. Through the regular season, they are NFC East champions. At present time, they are the 2 seed in the NFC. And depending on how things shake up, they could potentially be the top seed in the NFC. Now, for what it's worth, a little bit before we started putting this program together for you, Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins did test positive for COVID-19. The Cowboys need a Green Bay Packers loss and to win out. And, that would net them the 1 seed in the NFC. Basically, there are tiny little things that have to go right, as we've talked about several times. But the Green Bay Packers play the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday Night Football, and they will not have Kirk Cousins, the Vikings. And the Green Bay Packers play the Detroit Lions next week. So it really seemed like this was the highest chance or highest likelihood of the Packers losing. Not that it was a high likelihood to begin with, but this was the best chance the Cowboys had of the Packers dropping a game and opening the door for Dallas to be the top seed in the NFC. Now, we will have some clarity, as mentioned, on the NFC playoff picture when this week is over. But, right now it does kind of seem like 2-seed or bust for the Cowboys. They do need some help or some things to go the right way, rather, for them to ultimately still secure the 2-seed. But whatever they're going to do, they obviously need to keep winning their own games. The Cowboys have won 4 games in a row, and so it's time to make that 5. And up next for them is a date at home against the Arizona Cardinals and quarterback Kyler Murray, Coach Cliff Kingsbury, guys with ties to the state of Texas, guys who are obviously familiar with AT&T Stadium, guys who, along with the rest of the Arizona Cardinals, had their way in this building last year on Monday Night Football in the first game that the Cowboys played without Dak Prescott. And, this game's weird, if I'm being honest with you, because 2 months ago or so, a lot of people thought this game would potentially be for the top seed in the NFC. However, it's not, but both of these teams have secured playoff berths. The Cowboys, as mentioned 1,000 times, they've won 4 games in a row. They're NFC East champions. They will host at the very least 1 playoff game. The Cardinals, despite losing 3 games in a row, did secure a playoff berth last week because of everything else that happened across the NFC. So you got 2 playoff teams, although the Cardinals don't really feel like one right now, and both playing for different things because Dallas, again, trying to secure the best possible seed in the playoffs. The Cardinals still in contention for the NFC West. So lots of different things, different degrees of importance, so to speak, and not a game that anyone's taking lightly by any means, but a game that is kind of personal for the Cowboys when you consider what Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray had to say about the franchise over the offseason. Back in the summer, Kyler Murray was asked if he grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan. Kyler, in case you're unaware, grew up in Texas, played his high school football in the great state of Texas, his college football before he transferred. He played at Texas A&M University, and he was asked if he grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan. And this is a family show, so we won't repeat exactly what he said, but he said no in a rather insulting way. And, Mike McCarthy, this is something I can't wait to talk about with Tony Catalina, our guest here on our preview show today. We will also dive into the film room with Matt Minnick, as we do every week. He's kind of good at taking things like this and using them. And so I'm excited to see if the Cowboys do come out. This is a Cardinals team that, has obviously lost 3 games in a row and is a little bit running on fumes. And so if you can come make a statement, if you can come prove to Kyler Murray why he should have been a Cowboys fan, so to speak, I mean, that would be a lot of fun. That would go a long way. We've seen Mike McCarthy use those tiny little things all throughout the season so far. And that does kind of lead us to our second point here as far as things the Cowboys need to be wary of. The Cardinals are not in a great place right now. They have lost 3 games in a row, one of them on Monday Night Football, incidentally, given that they had their way with Dallas on that in that slot last year. Cardinals lost to the Rams 3 weeks ago. Nobody thought that was, strange or weird or abnormal. Everybody kind of understood that. Fine, it's a division rivalry. Okay, cool. Then they go to Detroit and they lose there, and everybody's talked about this. They didn't just lose, they got the doors blown off them. I mean, the Cardinals got routed by the Lions, which is really embarrassing. This is a season where everybody has these weird kind of fluky losses, Cowboys and Broncos. Maybe you want to throw Cowboys and Raiders in there as well. But nobody's lost a game like that, except for maybe the Chargers last week now against the Houston Texans. And so Cardinals lose to the Lions. Okay, get it together. You got the Colts coming to town. You just lost to Jared Goff. You cannot lose to Carson Wentz. I know they have Jonathan Taylor, but somehow, some way, the Cardinals found a way and lost to the first and second overall picks in the 2016 NFL draft back-to-back. And now they get a chance to play the best quarterback from that draft class in Dak Prescott, who's coming off a huge week, NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Dak is back. Cowboys offense is back. Cowboys defense is rolling. And so this is a Cowboys team that has kind of, when they've smelled blood in the water so far this year, taken advantage of it and ended teams. You can't end the Cardinals season. They are going to the playoffs, but you can effectively break them. We saw the Cowboys break Washington's spirit last week with all the fighting on the sideline, on the bench, and everything like that. This is a Cardinals team that is in that same sort of space. Do it, Cowboys. Don't show any mercy. Come in, go to work, get out, stay competitive, let the Cardinals figure their own stuff out, and you continue to be you. Last thing before we get to our conversation with Tony Catalina that we think the Cowboys need to pay attention to. I know I'm going to sound redundant. I know I'm going to sound like a genius here, but the Cowboys, we want to see more of the same on offense. That offense showed up last week, and it was awesome to see. We want to see the Cowboys offense moving and grooving, scoring, high-flying, big catches, big throws, runs, etc. Throw it to Terrence Steele for, all I care again. If we're going to get somebody a touchdown, let's make it Connor McGovern. Like, dude's done a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gave Terrence Steele a touchdown. Let's get one for Connor McGovern. But more of the same. I mean, again, it's high-level analysis here. We want to see the offense dominate again. Don't take your foot off the gas, Cowboys. You're starting to peak at the perfect time, the right time, the absolutely perfect right time. Do not let up. Show the Cardinals who you are. Show the rest of the NFL who you are. Keep going. You're almost at the playoffs. Don't lose any of the momentum that you're building up so far as we enter the month of January. Let's go ahead and get to our conversation. Tony Catalina from the Blog on the Boys Universe and I sat down to talk about the Cardinals, the NFC playoff picture, and everything as my dog barks in the background. He's very excited to hear from Tony Catalina. Here is the one and only Tony Catalina from blogontheboys.com. And now by the one, the only, the handsome, the debonair, internationally famous, you know him from blogontheboys.com, Blogging the Boys Podcast Network, Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, all throughout the Blogging the Boys universe. It is Antonio, Anthony, Tony, lots of names around here. Catalina, Tony, thanks so much for joining our preview show.
I appreciate it, RJ. Thanks for having me.
Very merry belated Christmas to you and yours. A very early Happy New Year. Tony and I are recording this on New Year's Eve in the aftermath of Kirk Cousins testing positive for COVID-19. Certainly hope the best for Kirk, but that does hurt the Cowboys' chances from a football perspective of being the 1 seed in the NFC. They need a Packers loss as well as to win out. Green Bay has Minnesota on Sunday and the Lions next week. So again, as mentioned, this was Dallas's best chance. So, Tony, it does kind of seem like it might be 2 seed or bust for the Cowboys, but they do have to win out. Are you feeling like that is likely, unlikely? I mean, where are you at right now?
Well, you always, like we were talking about it earlier, you always knew that it would be a stretch to get the 1 seed. It was a chance. It wasn't a high chance, but with the Kirk Cousins news, that kind of puts a damper on it a little bit. So as far as the Cowboys go, you probably don't change anything, how you feel about it. You're still trying to go out there and win your last 2 games. And it's just how it was. You're going to see how the seeds shake out and everything kind of shakes out. But yeah, I think the 2 seed is more realistic. It's more so the goal. And you just take care of business and let the cards fall as they may.
So I think what's interesting, and Tony and I were actually going to record this an hour before we ultimately did, but I'm glad that we wound up waiting because we have this news and that changes the context of what's to come. And we're about to get to the Cardinals discussion. I know, Tony, you're thinking RJ asked me to come talk about the Cardinals when we get to that point. What's unique, and this is something that Connor Livesey spoke about on the latest episode of Talking the Star with special guest David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com on the Blog on the Boys Podcast Network, is the Cowboys, Tony, are playing 2 teams in these next 2 weeks, the Cardinals and the Eagles, that they very well could end up playing in the wild card round of the playoffs. And as it's likely they're not going to be the 1 seed, they will likely be playing in the wild card round. But in order, just in case anybody's unaware around here, for the Cowboys to be the 2 seed, they would have to win out, and they would have to, because I think we both think Tampa is going to win out. They have the Jets and the Panthers over their last 2 games. They would have to have the Los Angeles Rams win out as well. Now, the Rams will probably be playing the Lamar Jackson-less Ravens on Sunday, so that seems like it's a win. but they have the San Francisco 49ers next week. I promise I'm getting to the Cardinals. So if you don't get the Rams winning out, Tony, it's very possible that the Cowboys are the 3 seed or maybe even the 4 seed. And if you're the 4 seed, it's very possible that you are going to host this Arizona Cardinals team 2 weeks from now. I feel like we've kind of forgotten that that's a possibility. Like we've kind of looked towards the Eagles as the more likely playoff opponent, but there are a lot of probabilities that shake out where it's Dallas hosting Arizona again in 2 weeks. Does that change any of your approach? If you're Mike McCarthy, if you're Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn, how you take this game on, knowing you could very well be seeing this exact team in a playoff matchup 2 weeks from now?
There's so many layers to the onion, right? And you can kind of try to break it up and mix and match of how it's going to shake out. But ultimately, I think at the end of the day, Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn and all the guys, they're just looking to play and win some football games. Right now, they're riding high on a 4-game winning streak. And if you can go into the playoffs, 6-game winning streak, right? We're not going to get ahead of ourselves here. We still got a tough opponent in front of us. But I think ultimately they're going to be worrying about where their feet are at, and they're just going to try to win in the here and the now. Yeah, there's so many different things that could shake out. And, I feel like Kellen Moore all year, or at least for the latter part of the year, has kind of been holding some things back. And I think Dak Prescott alluded to the fact that he hasn't been running as much either, just as something that as the games get into more serious and more do or die situations, he's going to take the governor off. But yeah, I mean, it's good for us to talk about. I don't know if they'll actually have that mindset where I think they're just going to go out there and try to win football games, but there are so many different things that can shake out for this team. It is really interesting to speak on.
I think again, we're going to see the way all of this unfolds, and I almost would prefer, in a weird way, if the Rams are going to lose, to do it this week to the Ravens. I would like to, as much as we can, know what the Cowboys situation is, because if they're not going to have a first round bye, they can at the very least treat next week like a first round bye. The week 18 game, they can kind of manufacture their own. But in order to get there, they have to beat this Arizona Cardinals team. Tony, you know that Kyler Murray had some choice words about the Cowboys franchise back in the summer. It's kind of down to him at this point for the Cardinals. Whether or not they're going to win is going to be a result of his own skill set. He really hasn't been that electrifying MVP type player in about a month for the Cardinals. Obviously, they've lost 3 games in a row. What's your fear meter? 1 to 10. I mean, with 10 being Aaron Rodgers in the divisional round with 2 minutes left to go, and 1 being Eli Manning just about at any point in his career, how afraid are you of Kyler Murray?
I would say a comfortable 6, because you do touch to the fact that he hasn't been super explosive over the last month and he hasn't been playing his best ball. But for some reason, I think you would attest to this too, that whenever somebody goes against the Cowboys, you're going to get their best game. He's going to be comfortable. He's back in the stadium. He's never lost in. He's back home. It just, for some reason, teams always find that magic when they play the Cowboys, whether it be the national stage or just whatever the case may be. But Kyler Murray has the opportunity and the skill set to blow the top off of a game. And he's that electric. He is that explosive. And even though it hasn't really shown out for the last month or so, and he's been dealing with injuries, I do have a healthy amount of respect for the playmaking ability and the skill set he possesses.
He's is there anybody else? Buda Baker is somebody who Mike McCarthy has talked about this week as the X factor on the Cardinals defense. Is that it? I mean, is the list of players we're losing sleep over really that short?
It's funny. I mean, right now, I don't think they've said anything about James Conner. I know he's real iffy game time decision, but he's got 14 touchdowns this year. I think Chase Edmonds is a quality change of pace back who can hit a big play. And we've already seen what Christian Kirk can do. And I know Rondell Moore is a question himself. So they actually do have some skill guys that can present matchup problems for this team. I think as a whole, they're dealing with some injuries and everything, and COVID, whatever the case may be. But if you look at the team in totality, they do have some pressing players that could make some issues for this Cowboys defense.
So what's your vibe then going into this? Because if the Cowboys win, it's another notch in their belt. It's a 5th win in a row, rather. Depending on where the chips fall throughout the league on Sunday, Monday night is Pittsburgh, Cleveland, so that really won't pertain to the playoff picture here. So Sunday is going to be kind of a day of information. But by the time we go to sleep Sunday, we'll have a really good idea as far as what the Week 18 playoff picture will look like. Can you be swayed one way or the other? Can your priors be further confirmed if the Cowboys dominate the Cardinals? Can you feel even better if they're flat, if the offense is flat again? Are you panicking? Are you regressing in your confidence? I mean, what's the spectrum that you can move along throughout Sunday afternoon?
I could still feel real confident about this Cowboys football team based on what they've done over the last month. They've handled business, and they're supposed to do, they've done it right now. If they go out and get the doors blown off by this Arizona team, I think I would have some reservations and some question marks. But I think a win could go a long way to securing this team within at least the eyes of people. I guess they really don't matter, but like the national pundits, they want to say, we're playing Washington, they're playing the Giants, so those are games you should win. You go against Arizona, who's definitely a playoff team. They've already clinched it, so you go out there and you kind of assert your dominance a little bit. I think it does put the rest of the league on notice a little bit more.
It's exciting to think about how this will go. I've something I've said, and we've all talked about, is how this has been kind of a year of vindication for the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy, appropriately so, given that it's the best song from a Spider-Man soundtrack, and No Way Home came out a couple weeks ago. Like they went to New England and won. You were at that game. They won a game with their backup quarterback. They've done all these things that they have never been able to do, kind of exercising different demons, and so to speak. And so I would say, I don't know if you would agree, but maybe the most embarrassing, maybe not worst, but most embarrassing loss that Mike McCarthy's Dallas Cowboys have had was the Monday night affair to Arizona last year. And there's some context that's necessary there, in that it was the first start without Dak Prescott. I think they were still kind of a little bit dazed by his injury, but Mike McCarthy's kind of been pretty good at sort of avenging different things. And so I kind of personally expect, I wouldn't say a rout or a 56-14 win, but I do expect some sort of some sort of revenge, I guess, or avenging, however you want to put it. I do expect Mike McCarthy to kind of go even the score, so to speak. Am I out of line here?
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, I think the way this team is kind of handled it all year with Mike McCarthy at the helm is, I think they've done a really good job of taking like potentially disrespectful things and kind of, swifting it and changing it into motivation. And I think they took the Ron Rivera situation in Washington. Like that was a lighthearted guarantee into, okay, he's going to take this personal and now we're going to take it out on him. I think this is, I said it early on in the season. I thought this would be Zeke's revenge tour, but I think more so than anything, it's Mike McCarthy's as well. With he got dealt a tough hand last year. No Dak and the COVID situation, no fans. So, I mean, it would be right on brand and par for this team to go out there and put a good, solid game against Arizona together.
I will give my score prediction here on the preview show in just a little bit, Tony. But before we get you out of here, final score: Cowboys, Cardinals, and they end the week as the what seed in the NFC?
I say they win 27-20. I think it'll be closer than that. I think, you know what I mean? Just the way the game will shake out, it'll be closer than the 27-20 final score. But the Cowboys find a way to cement the win. I think when it's all said and done, enough things will shake out where I think we'll walk into week 18, possibly still the 2 seed.
Okay, so you think Rams beat Ravens, Buccaneers beat the Jets, and the Packers obviously hold on to win against the Kirk Cousinless Minnesota Vikings. Okay. On Twitter at Tony_Catalina, you can hear him on the Blog of the Boys podcast network, on our Dallas Cowboys Roundup shows on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and on Saturdays on 2 Minute Warning with Dave Sturcio and Aiden Davis. Tony Catalina, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Big time shout out, big time thank you to Tony Catalina for taking the time to join us here on our preview show. Very interesting. The Cardinals are just, I don't know, they're a weird team. It's a very, I haven't felt this way about any Cowboys game this season. The Cardinals, I don't want to say they lack juice, but I mean they're kind of a juiceless team in general. And now you've got them kind of coming in on this 3-game losing streak, and it's just this, I don't know, it's weird. I feel weirdly, but I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating them, underestimating, whatever. Maybe I'm not properly estimating the Arizona Cardinals in order to figure out the proper level of estimation that I should have and that we should have when it comes to AZ. Let's go ahead and dive into the film room with Matt Minnick and figure out some Cardinals players, some Cardinals things in general that we have to keep an eye on.
The Arizona Cardinals were 10-2 a few short weeks ago, but since then, they've gone on a 3-game losing streak. The Cowboys are on the opposite path, winning 4 in a row, but the Cardinals present a dangerous challenge. To come out with the win, the Cowboys must be on top of their game. Perhaps the most obvious reason for their success is quarterback Kyler Murray. Murray is an incredible talent. On this play, he sees a matchup he likes on the outside and checks the play to take advantage of it. This was an incredible throw for the touchdown. The Cowboys will need to play tight in coverage, because if they don't, Murray can take advantage. And Murray adds an extra dimension to this offense with his ability to run the ball for huge gains. On this play, he has a nice hole to run through, then cuts it way back on the second level, taking it 57 yards before the defense can finally catch up. Murray's ability to run makes him even more dangerous, but the Cowboys have a talented defensive front that should be able to handle it. Kyler Murray is an incredible passer, but this is not the same air raid offense you saw from Cliff Kingsbury at Texas Tech. This offense features a physical, downhill running game. Here, Chase Edmonds found the cutback lane and plowed into it for the first down. The Cardinals running backs will fight for these dirty yards, but the Cowboys front seven should match up well against them. But what really doesn't get talked about enough with this team is its rough, physical defense. This run stop gives an excellent example of how tough it can be to pick up even a yard against this team. The Colts were able to have success running the ball against the Cardinals last week, and the Cowboys should be able to do the same, but it won't come easy. They have to win the battle in the trenches. Despite their recent struggles, the Cardinals are a very good football team and serious contenders. Sooner or later, they're going to get back on track and start winning again. But if the Cowboys can prevent big plays, avoid turnovers, and win on the line of scrimmage, it won't be this week.
Big time shout out, big time thank you to Matt Minnick for taking us into the film room. Very interesting stuff. This game's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. In first game of 2022, first game where the Cowboys have a chance to kind of prove themselves in some people's minds. I think that's silly, but it is a team that, you know, is a little bit better, obviously, than the Saints and Washington and the Giants. So as Tony mentioned, some takes will be formed as a result of this game. Lots of people are going to be watching it, obviously. How can you watch this game? The Dallas Cowboys will be hosting the Arizona Cardinals. That is the 11-4 Cowboys against the 10-5 Cardinals. Again, they were 10-2. They're 10-5 on Sunday afternoon. That is January 2nd at 4:25 Eastern time. It's on Fox. Big time game, big time stage. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews on the call. I promise you this will be one of the highest rated games on the season when we look past it. You know how the NFL always releases that graphic that's like most watched games of the year, whatever. This is going to be one of those. Trust me. You can bet your bottom dollar on it. As always, you can listen to this game on the home of the Dallas Cowboys, 105.3 The Fan. Brad Chen, Babe Laufenberg, Christy Scales will be there for you. If you want to do it, I say this all the time, you can always sync up the audio from the home broadcast with the television. That's always a fun thing to do. Takes a little bit of work, but it's worth it. Trust me. Tony gave his prediction. It is now time for me to give mine. I have obviously been predicting the Cowboys to win as of late, and I've been proven right by them. So shout out to me and shout out to them. But I see the Cowboys winning this game 30-17. Depending on when you look, at the moment of our recording, our friends at DraftKings do have the Cowboys as 5.5-point favorites. They opened as 3-point favorites, so a little bit of a growth there over the week. And again, depending if maybe you look right before kickoff, who knows? But Cowboys should win with ease. They are very good against the spread at home. They're obviously at AT&T Stadium this week. So we'll see how it goes. First game of 2022, like I said, have a very happy new year, very safe new year. We will be here after the game ends for our Dallas Cowboys postgame show live on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel and the Blog of the Boys Facebook page. If you want to hit me up, you can on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. Email also works if that is more your speed, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time.